Hello, everyone, and welcome to your 2021 Marketing Blueprint. We'll get started in a moment. You can see we still have several people joining the webinar now. We have a full house today, so if you're just joining us, I can see we have a number of people coming in, so I'm just going to give it another moment. Welcome, everyone, to your 2021 Marketing Blueprint, 6 New Ways to Grow. I'm Deanne Mora, CEO of Zen Change Marketing, and we're hosting this event to share the strategies small business owners simply must adopt in social media, digital advertising, website security, SEO, video, and design. Joining me today are several members of my team who will share with you key trends to watch and the changes you need to make to grow your business. Mallory Mitchell is our VP of Creative Strategy and a social media influencer. Bailey Mitchell is our social media lead and also an influencer. Nick Branda is our pay-per-click ad strategist. Patrick Hughes is our SEO strategist. Rand Zerbina is our web and video strategist. And Alex Hendley, who also created the graphics you'll see in this presentation today, is our art director. If you have questions as we share this information with you today, please drop them in the chat and we'll get to as many of them as we can toward the end of our discussion. There are several macro trends happening today that will impact how you need to think about marketing next year. I'll get to the impacts of COVID in a moment, but there are some other key trends that were already in play prior to the pandemic that we need to plan for. First, the speed of 5G networks, which are expected to be more broadly available over the next year, will make people even more connected to the web, as incredible as that sounds. They'll rely on more personalized content like social media, blogs, and podcasts, and less on content for the masses like TV and radio. If you had any hesitancy about getting into video, now is definitely the time. Social media platforms are all favoring videos, which Bailey, Nick, and Rands will all speak to. And in case you're a bit nervous about that, rest assured that they don't all need to be fancy productions. 5G is definitely a trend to watch since it's expected to reach 1 billion users faster than any other technological phenomena. Voice is also a continuing trend to keep an eye on since people tend to ask their devices questions similar to how they would ask a human. Alexa, where's the best pizza place near me? Oh, and apologies if your Alexa is trying to find you a pizza place right now. But voice is impacting SEO, which Patrick will talk about in a few minutes. Artificial intelligence is another growing trend that's making chatbots and our personal assistants smarter, as dumb as your Siri does seem at times. But we can expect to see additional conveniences from our devices, such as automatic goods ordering. AI is also improving ad targeting, which Nick will talk about. The pandemic has brought greater globalization as online activity has surged. We're watching the growth of cross-border e-commerce and the exponential growth of marketplaces such as eBay and Amazon. Mobile e-commerce is also a trend which will benefit from augmented reality, voice, and consumer profiling. We saw major changes in the small business space in 2020 due to COVID, from strategy to technology, communication, and overall digital presence. The bar has been raised exponentially, and customers now demand more from a digital experience. A couple of weeks ago, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said, "We're not going back to the same economy, we're going back to a different economy." He was referring to our increasing reliance on technology, automation, and telework. As business owners, we can no longer view the pandemic as a temporary blip from which life will return to what it was. It will take months before the vaccine is available to everyone who wants it, and even then, COVID will still be a risk. We need to be prepared to embrace some of the changes. We expect these changes to be longer lasting than we initially anticipated. The first trend is learning to create and build virtual relationships. Now, I know this doesn't come naturally for everyone, but if you want to grow your business next year, then you need to find a way to embrace it. The second trend is one I'll call metropolis exodus. Companies are really starting to question the need to pay Class A, high-priced office space rent if they aren't filling them up with employees in fancy suits, hosting fancy meetings to impress clients. And Bloomberg published an article that Manhattan has the most office space available since the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. Wow. Co-working spaces are also popping up in the suburbs to be closer to people who normally work from home. Let's reflect on the implications of people spreading their business locations more evenly around the country. If you own a business that caters to buyers in an urban core, then it may be time to consolidate your resources and locations and strongly consider a pivot. Any brick and mortar business that relies on foot traffic needs to find a way to make money online. A recent Gartner study found that after COVID, 43% of US workers plan to work from home or remotely more often, and 8% already worked remotely full-time. So that's half of the population who prefers and has found a way to work from home. While working from home provides strong benefits in flexibility, not spending time in traffic, and spending more time with our families, There's some drawbacks. The biggest struggles have been challenges with collaboration and communication, not being able to unplug, and even loneliness. If your business can think of a way to help with any of these issues, then you have a very ripe opportunity. Examples may include software, collaboration tools, health and wellness support, or even online training. The third trend is the obvious one, and that's the one that you really need to pay attention to. You need to rock your digital presence in 2021. Since COVID, there's been a 44% increase in social media consumption, and 70% of people spent more time on their smartphones. Next year, we can expect to see even greater use of technology in digital marketing, including artificial intelligence for photo recognition and newsfeed personalization, as well as augmented reality filters on social networks. Digital is no longer an option, it's survival. And speaking of survival, Mallory, just how significant of an impact has the pandemic had on small business survival?
Huge, absolutely huge. As you can see, on our next slide here, it's a really sad statistic that currently 1 out of 5 businesses in this country are closed, 1 out of 5 small businesses. 82% of them report concerns of, after they open, they're going to have to make huge changes. Their business models might be really affected. 55% believe that it's going to take them at least 6 months to a year to, get even to a full-time capacity again after things start to reopen, based on whatever their state guidelines are. So it's huge. I mean, the small businesses have been impacted the most out of any other industry in this country. And everyone has worked towards recovery at this point, and it's just going to take quite a while, I think. And I also think we're going to see the ripple effect of how, COVID continuing even into this next year is going to continue to affect all of the businesses in different ways. So moving on to some of the trends that, are really going to define small business in 2021. As Deanne mentioned before, just, the digital world in general is going to accelerate like we've never seen it before. Everyone is digital, and digital media is growing faster. Just everyone's presence online is growing faster, and you really have to, more than ever, take your mark online, so people can start to find you, because your storefronts and the foot traffic that you once knew is not going to be around anymore. Another big one is just empathy in general. Empathy being a really important new standard of your online presence and your online voice and how you communicate with people. People want to be understood more than ever, because communicating online is much harder than it is in person. So you have to find a way to show your clients or your customers empathy through all of your marketing, through your communications, through your social. They want to be valued. A lot of people are making very specific purchases now, and they don't have a lot of extra spending money. So they have to really feel good about, every single penny that they're spending. They want to feel valued, and they want to feel like, the decision to choose your business over other businesses means something to you. And then another big thing that we've seen is, as businesses are recovering from their revenue losses, if you're not an essential business, and I don't mean in the way of, being a pharmacy or being a hospital, if you're not an essential business to someone's life, then you're going to fall pretty far down the line in terms of what people are spending their money on. And that doesn't mean you can't make your business essential. I think that's one of the biggest things that, everyone should be trying to do at this point, whether you are, a yoga teacher and you only ever had in-class studios before. I mean, you can still make yourself essential by, implementing different tools and different technologies. But you do have to become an essential part of people's lives in order for them to still connect with you online. And then, this trend of shopping small has been momentously growing for years now, but because of how much small businesses have been affected, people are really prioritizing shopping small. And this is not just a millennial thing. This is, all generations are kind of jumping on board, which is amazing to see. So people are prioritizing, local businesses over the big chains, which, all of here, it's exciting to see that. And, all of those things you're going to have to think about as you develop marketing strategy. And if you never truly had a marketing strategy for your small business before, that's another, big thing that you're going to need going into this next year. 68% of customers surveyed in a recent Salesforce study talked about how, their expectations of everything digital are now so much higher. They expect better service. They expect easier ways to communicate. This is a huge number. And this is not just, a small business doing a poll. This is Salesforce doing a poll of, millions of people. And, so that just being said, the bar is much higher. And there's a lot of things that you can do to increase your experience and make it better for people online. I think a lot of small businesses are written about trying to find ways to become digital, but more than ever now, especially this year and going into next year, there are so many ways that you can make that happen. There are companies popping up left and right every day that are creating tools that will let you get your business online. So that could be, mobile ordering, which we're seeing tons of already, contactless delivery, curbside pickup. There are tools that you can implement in your business to make those things happen very easily. You could add chat to your website. That's a huge one right off the bat. And I think, one of the guys will talk about that later on in this presentation, but chat is huge. It's a very easy way to someone to ask a quick question to you. Whereas if they were normally in your store or they were normally in your office and they could just ask you a question, now they can just chat. So it makes it really approachable. It's not stressful. You have to think about that. Offering different payment options, offering Apple Pay, offering different ways to pay ahead of time are really important. Those are all really easy things to implement. Offering virtual services. So like I mentioned earlier, if you're a studio and people are not coming into your studio anymore, if you are like an art studio or just, any kind of place where you aren't having people come into your physical business anymore, you can find virtual ways around that. We have friends that are taking cooking classes through Zoom and doing workouts through Zoom and doing meditations and prayer groups. And, you can meet with your accountant over Zoom. You can do anything online. You just have to figure out a way to do it. You can develop an app for your business. That's really easy to do now. There are companies that can help you create an app right out of the box. It's not some massive project like it was 10 years ago. You can do self-service account portals, which means people can go in and they can do their ordering all by themselves. They can do repeat ordering. They can do repeat bookings, anything like that. Those are easy things to add to your website. And then just in general, the most important thing, which we will continuously talk about in this presentation, is making sure your mobile or your website is 100% mobile friendly. Everything about it needs to be very easy to use and digest and click through on a phone. That's what everyone is using nowadays, now, more than ever. So all those things, just really play into getting your business online in a way that you may never have had to do before. But, we don't know how this is going to go. And, we were all hoping that, 6 months down the road, we wouldn't be facing these challenges anymore, but we probably will be. And it could be years to come. Even when the vaccine comes out, there's probably going to be a lot of people who will maintain this type of a lifestyle. So that being said, you need to figure out ways to pivot your business. And, that can look like a lot of different things depending on the industry you're on. But a couple of the really important things that you can start to think about right now are, first of all, your reviews that you have online. Because people are not walking in and they're not seeing your restaurant in person, they're not seeing your boutique in person, they're not, seeing all this stuff in person, they're going to read reviews. And if, this has always been something that you never really dealt with because you could always talk to people in person, this is something that's not going to happen anymore. So you have to be very mindful of all the reviews on Google, on Facebook, on Yelp, everywhere, because those are what are going to make people choose you over another business down the street, or, because now you're competing with a group of nationwide businesses that are in your industry, you have more competition than ever. Mobile first communication, like I mentioned before. Your website has to be mobile friendly. It really does. And there are so many ways to make it mobile friendly. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a website anymore. It's very doable, but it's very important. ADA compliance is now a very standard thing for any website. So the Americans with Disabilities Act has put a set of guidelines out that everyone can follow to make sure that, anyone with a disability, whether it's sight, sound, anything like that, there are ways to make your website, easy to use for them. There was a precedent that's already been set by a case against Domino's Pizza that went to the Supreme Court. That is just making it, very standard, and the need to have these certain features on your website. It's really important to make sure it's inclusive and it's easy to use. So ADA compliance is another really important thing now, that more than ever, it doesn't just impact your physical business like it used to. It now really impacts your website. So there are certain tools you can implement to make sure that your website is following a specific set of guidelines that will make it easy to use for everyone out there. The next thing is just e-commerce. Are there ways that you can start to sell things or sell your services or put different pieces of your business online for purchase that you might not have think of? You can sell classes. You can sell any of your, physical goods online. You can sell consulting sessions. You can sell appointments. You can sell anything. So there are lots of tools that will make it easy for people to buy your services online. So another pivot that you can make for your business is figuring out how to sell your education online, how to build a class structure or a learning management system that people can sign up to. Everyone is home. Everyone is trying to, learn more information about, the businesses they work in, and making your education available through a course system can be another really great revenue stream. And then the last thing, which, we'll get into a little more in a minute, is just making sure that your social media presence is the best it's ever been, that you are taking the time to prioritize social media on every platform. All platforms are not created equal. We don't live in a world anymore where you can just put one thing out here and there a week on all platforms at the same time. There has to be a strategy behind it. People are interacting with you through social media. A lot of times it's their first contact with you. So it's going to be really important for you to make a good presence there and to give people a really good first impression. So there are a lot of different ways that you can adapt. And I think that, you have to have all your bases covered, and there are a lot of bases. So next thing that we'll talk about, just taking it back a minute, is social media and how you can make sure that people are finding you on social media, how they are interacting with you, and what your goals are for them. So next up, I'm going to hand it over to Bailey, who's going to talk to you about some things you can do to cover those bases and to ramp up your strategy and to get ready for this new year.
Hey guys, yes, adding to everything she just talked about, your social media is the bottom line. Your first impression for visitors and potential customers these days. All your social platforms aligning is like going into a restaurant for your first time, and how it looks and how you're treated. Like, customer experience is everything these days. It's what drives the decision-making process. According to Statista, social media usage has increased by 44%, and 70% of people spend more time on their smartphones. That's pretty crazy. Industry winners in web traffic were, not surprisingly, supermarkets, media, websites, telecom, and buying tech online. But don't worry, if you didn't happen to fall in one of these categories, there are ways to enhance your experience. You can run a remarketing campaign or your website and have your ad pop up on those more popular websites. There are over 4.5 billion people now that use the internet on a regular basis, and over 3.8 billion of these people are on some sort of social media. But you're probably wondering, how out of those 3.8 billion people do you reach your ideal audience or customers? There's a different strategy behind every platform these days, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, doesn't matter. So taking a closer look at each one of these is a good place to start in determining where you should focus your efforts. The new pillars of social media boil down to these few things. Engagement is key to growth. Engagement boosts brand awareness like crazy. Some examples include sharing other people's content, making your post more visually appealing, adding relevant hashtags to your post, and creating polls or surveys, or what we like to call CTAs, call to actions. Another is video content. Instagram Live, Reels, Instagram TV, IGTV, and stories are a great example of all of this. It creates that next level of engagement by connecting with your audience. Whether it's a morning selfie or a quick clip of your daily routine, people love to see it. It lets them get to know you on a basis that's outside of work. Not all shop talk in 2021 is all about humanizing our digital world. Relevant topics and humor are a must. Some examples of that would be first, Airbnb. They are absolutely killing it. Kudos to you guys. They have always been known for showing off cute apartments and houses that are just a minute walk away from the attractions and sights to see around town. But when COVID hit, they pivoted hard and started to show off another side of Wanderlust. A cabin in the woods, a cute tiny home in the desert, miles away from anything or anyone, a boat in the Bahamas where only you and the turtles hang. It's extremely appealing in our world today, and they've done a really good job at that. Another great example is Pop-Tarts. As you can see, they use humor to brighten the room, not just to say, buy my product. A diverse mix of content is another good trend. Humanizing in the way of a law firm posting some cute animal photos, or Burger King cracking a joke to create a relationship with the viewer. Here are some quick and powerful statistics I wanted to share about each platform just to put things into perspective. Instagram. 90% of users follow a business on the platform. That means 9 out of 10 people are looking to follow you and your brand. Facebook. Business decision makers spend 74% more time on Facebook than any other. For B2B companies, this is huge. LinkedIn. 62% of users say that LinkedIn generates 1 to 2 times more leads than the next highest social channel. They've rolled out some pretty cool new features, including banners and our favorite, CTAs, call to actions, making it a great place for brands who are looking to provide a little extra value to their audience, since LinkedIn's algorithm is tailored in favor of long, informative content. Pinterest. 77% of weekly pinners have discovered a new brand or product on the platform. Twitter. 77% of Twitter users have a more positive outlook on a brand when their tweet has either been retweeted or responded to. Again, that engagement is huge. And TikTok. 93% of TikTokers are more likely to engage with a brand that is able to deliver a personal connection through creativity and innovation. Their algorithm allows for a large organic reach, even if it's your first day. If there is one takeaway from all of this stuff I just went over, it's that social media is constantly changing. But one thing they all have in common is that they're developed to help brands drive more engagement, start conversations, and provide more value to their customers. The more you put in, the more you get out. This brings me to my last point. The missing piece to your social media masterful strategy are Facebook and Instagram ads. They are more critical than ever today. You have to pay to play these days, and that doesn't mean spending a lot, but it means spending strategically. I'm going to turn it over to my coworker, Nick, so he can give you a little deeper look into it.
Thank you, Bailey. So I have never before been as excited as I am right now going into 2021 to be on Facebook advertising, but at the same time, it has also never been as risky as it is to be on Facebook advertising right now, and I will explain that in a second. So some highlights I'm going to be talking about is that Facebook is going to be turning into largely a video platform in the future. Ad costs are dropping. They're low right now. They're actually at an all-time low. The AI machine learning, and also banned accounts. So first, let's talk about ad costs being low. So as a fallout of COVID-19, as previously mentioned on this webinar, a lot of businesses are closing their doors. A lot of them are downsizing their staffs. And as a result, to make ends meet, the ones that haven't closed, a lot of them are pulling funds from their marketing campaigns. And they're putting it to other aspects of their business to make sure the doors stay open. So because of that, there are actually a lot less businesses now advertising on Facebook and Instagram than there were before. We had that slight bump during the election where everyone was trying to get their things in, but now it's kind of returned to the status quo of there's actually an all-time low of businesses advertising, which results in the lower ad costs. So less businesses are advertising on Facebook right now. But also as a result of COVID-19, more people are sitting at home than ever had before with nothing really to do. They need some ways to entertain themselves. So the individual Facebook user time has gone up by 1 to 2 hours per day than it was before. And as I'm sure many of you have heard before, it takes 30 days to create a habit, whether that's a good habit or a bad habit. And a lot of us are deep into this, way more than 30 days. So this trend of people spending more time on Facebook and Instagram isn't going to go away anytime soon. So again, less businesses advertising on Facebook has driven the ad costs down by as low as 50%, and more people on Facebook creates a prime opportunity for you to be on there right now advertising for your business. Now, also as a result of this, businesses are going to start seeing this trend in 2021. And that's going to lead to more advertisers coming back onto the platform. And what tends to happen is everyone gets all gung-ho about advertising. They just want to get their ads out there, and they don't read the rules and regulations of Facebook advertising. When this happens en masse, Facebook gets a little trigger happy as far as laying down the law. We saw this during the election. Ad accounts were getting banned left and right, and I predict this is something that's probably going to happen again because so many people are not reading the rules and regulations of Facebook. So something that can happen is what I call a false positive as far as ad accounts being banned. If this happens to you and you've read the rules and regulations, you haven't violated anything, it's okay. It's a little scary at first, but you will just want to get in touch with a Facebook representative. There's a link that we can share with you of how to go about doing that and explain to them, have them look into it. And so long as they don't find anything, you'll be good to go to bring it back online. It's not a death sentence like it once was. I've had this happen to me in the past couple of months, and they've actually been a lot better with working with you on this. So the takeaway from that is make sure that you're reading the rules and regulations. Little things that you might not think might be a big deal can be a big deal within certain advertising niches. Videos. So as we've talked about in the social media portion of this webinar, video is huge right now on Facebook, and it's just going to get bigger. Zuckerberg has been on record saying that by 2022 or 2023, Facebook is going to be primarily a video platform. What Facebook does in every asset of what it is, whether it be the user experience, the ad algorithm, what it always does is it leans towards what users do the most. And right now, that's video. Video views have gone up, and the average watch time of videos have gone up. In addition to that, Facebook Live is the most engaged with asset or feature on Facebook right now. So 2022, 2023, I imagine it's going to be mostly video, like Zuckerberg has predicted as well. And with 5G coming too, that's going to make uploading videos easier, and it's going to make less compression for the videos going onto Facebook. So this is definitely going to cause more people using video, and you want to be in front of that trend. As far as why you want to be using video, it is a great tool, not only for entertaining, but for businesses. It's fantastic for overcoming potential objections that people may have for your business, overcoming those mental, external barriers, internal barriers, and just building trust within your brand. Typically, the way this game works is the more someone consumes your content, free content, the more likely they are to do business with you. Someone who just visits your website or sees a graphic ad of yours and sees that, clicks there, maybe I'll go with this person, clicks away, they are a lot less likely to eventually do business with you than if they watch, let's say, even a 30-second to 1 minute video of you addressing something to do with their interests or concerns. They go to their website, they go to your website, they go there, they may see a video there, they consume more of it, they click away, let's say they're not ready yet. You could then retarget them with more videos based on what part of your website they dropped off at to address predictably whatever their concern would be if they're not taking the next step. So imagine how powerful that is, that if someone goes to your website, they go to see your pricing, they click away, you could tell that they spend, let's say, a minute or two on that pricing page. So they considered it, they click away. You could then serve them a new video explaining either breaking down why the value is what it is, all the things that you throw into your services, or you could also serve them a video just explaining to them, hey, did you notice that you didn't take advantage of our special offer right now? Did you know that you could also get this in a payment plan? So it's very powerful to kind of have an online, almost a conversation with your prospects and lead them down your pipeline. And then there's the machine learning component to Facebook ads. I'd say about 2 years ago, I was very, very hesitant to let Facebook make the decisions when it comes to ads. I never really use boosted posts because you don't have a whole lot of control over who sees your boosts. Now it's a little bit different. So you have a little more micromanaging in there, but nevertheless, it's not as detailed as you can get if you go in the back end and use Ads Manager. And I was very granular with how I set up my ads. I wanted to make sure, okay, this ad goes to people on this style of phone, on mobile devices, where this version of it goes to desktop, only using this, PC for this one, Mac to this one. Facebook over the years, because it has so many pixels on so many websites, and also Google shares so much data with Facebook through Google Tags now, it has gotten very, very, very smart, and it is serving the right ads to the right people at the right time with more automation and much less effort on my end having to go in and tinker with things as much as I had before. I trust a lot more, and that's very powerful for you and your business because you're going to have the ability to go in there and confidently serve ads to the right people, your right audience. And obviously this is great because there are 2.7 billion active users on Facebook right now, which is more than that there have ever been before. Perfect for building your brand. Now, how do we get these people's attention? This is all going to come down to creating some kind of offer to entice them into checking you out. In order to sell them ultimately on whatever it is that you do, you have to get their attention, and you do that on Facebook and Instagram by having an offer. A lot of people make the mistake of, they think of all pay-per-click ads as kind of like following the same pattern and being equal. And you don't really understand the difference between, let's say, a Google pay-per-click campaign and a Facebook pay-per-click campaign. If someone is searching on Google for something and you're using a paid campaign, there's intent there. Someone has a problem that they're actively searching for a solution for. On Facebook and Instagram, that's not the case. A good analogy that I like to use for this is a Google ad is going to be like you're driving to the store. Someone is driving to the store, and within the shopping center that let's say a rival competitor is in, you throw up a billboard for your business right there. That's essentially what a Google ad is intercepting someone when they're on their way to find a solution to something. Facebook and Instagram is much different. People aren't on Facebook or Instagram to be sold to or buy things. They're there to interact with their friends, look at creative stuff, generally pass leisure time. It's much more like you're an uninvited guest to a party here and you're getting in someone's face and soliciting them with your product. That's obviously not going to work. People at this point are so numb to that most people don't even notice that every fourth or fifth post on Facebook or Instagram is an ad now. So you have to come out with them with a little bit better of a strategy. If you're going to interrupt their leisure time, you better have a good offer to make it worth their while just to even look at it for a few seconds. So here are some offers that I've put together that you could use. Now, keep in mind that an offer doesn't necessarily mean a discount on your pricing. There are a lot of other ways that we can do this. So one of what my favorite campaigns to run lately is it was a birthday campaign. So a lot of people don't know this. In Facebook, you could target people only who have a birthday within this month. So I like to use offers that make sense whenever possible. So we could easily put together some kind of special package. It could be a discount, it might not be. Then in any case, put out an ad to people whose birthdays are this month and say, hey, notice it's your birthday this month. Why don't you come in and take advantage of this special offer that we have? And again, you could use whatever of these offers I'm about to mention within that birthday campaign. So it could be a coupon for something, free shipping, X amount off for your first visit, whatever, to get them in the door for that first time. Request a demo. This is more for any kind of technological or service-based business, any software-based business. You could offer someone a free demo or a free trial of your services for 1 week to 2 weeks to even 30 days if you wanted to get them to sample it and then hopefully fall in love with the business and then come in and buy the full product. Now, requesting a demo could be used for any software or online type business that you have, but it can also be used in person in the form of a free trial. You could do it for a 1 week demo or trial, 2 weeks, 30 days if you wanted to. The important thing for this one is that if you do that, you want to make sure that you're following up in some way with their prospect, that they're actually using it. The worst thing that you can do is give someone a free trial and have them get 2 or 3 days in, something they don't like that you could easily fix, and then on day 7, day 30, you're coming at them, asking them, hey, are you ready to sign up yet? And they say, no, it was bad from day 3. So if you're going to do a free trial or a demo, make sure you're following up with them to make sure their experience is as best as it can be. Payment plan. This is a great one that not many people think of when it comes to the price objection, is that just because someone doesn't buy off the full price doesn't mean they're not willing to buy off of either a split payment plan or multiple payment plans over a number of months. It's a really easy thing that you can offer. Obviously, you don't want to offer this to a cold audience. I would offer this to the people that you can see have spent the most time on the page with your pricing and just didn't move forward from there. And it's a really simple way to get people in and actually finally take that next step to take action. Free training. This is a nice one that I really like to use. Kind of like what we're doing right here with this webinar, is it's a good idea if you can to offer any type of free training, give people a sample of the knowledge that you have to entice them into coming back and getting the full scope of what your services could be. Just make sure that your free training actually is packed with some sort of value with it. Giveaways are great if you need to build some kind of email list. So if you're going to do a giveaway, make sure it's something of value. Now, it could be one of your products that's high of value, or it could be something just like a $100, $50 Amazon gift card. And what you want to do is you ask people to, it's a sweepstakes. Enter your name and you win X. But ideally, you want to make sure that it's the audience it's going out to the audience that will be interested in your services. Don't just go blasting it out to anyone who might want the end product for the Amazon gift card, for example. It has to be relevant to what your business is. And you want to build your list because you need to keep in mind, just to kind of wrap this all up, that Facebook and Instagram at any point can change their algorithm that works against your favor. For example, you cannot say the word "you" in anything related to health and fitness now on Facebook ads. It's the only niche that they really don't like you doing that in. They don't like you implying that something may be wrong with the user if you're in the health and fitness niche. That's really hard to advertise effectively now if you can't address the user and make it personalized in the ad copy. So at any time, they could flip the switch and make it hard on you. For that reason, you want to build your list because you want to own your traffic. If you have a bountiful email list, you can constantly remarket to these people with new offers, upsell offers, and that's really the key to making sure that you have a reliable source of income going in the future. And with that being said, next I'm going to throw this over to Patrick, who's going to talk to you about SEO strategy and trends.
Thanks, Nick, for the introduction. Today, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about SEO and web security trends for 2021 that we are seeing. Being found online is key to your growth, but most importantly, protect your assets. So basically, some of the SEO trends I'm seeing for 2021 are mobile optimization is going to be really huge. Right now, 60% of all searches on Google are done via mobile. And because of this, Google now prioritizes mobile first indexing. And so if your website isn't optimized for mobile, you're going to be losing a lot of traffic. So you definitely want to work on that. Voice search is something that is just continuing to grow in popularity in 2021. They're already saying by 2022, voice retail sales are expected to reach $40 billion just with voice search. And so this brings me to long form content. Guys, for your websites, we need to be creating more long form content. In 2021, your content stands the best chance of ranking high if it's long and detailed. In a study conducted by Backlinkto and BuzzSumo, it was revealed that long form content tends to get more social shares and backlinks as well. And then, and lastly, implement a local SEO program. This is very important for 2021 as well. Attracting search engine users who live nearby is the key to local business success. Many searches have local intent. As per Google, about 4 out of 5 consumers perform local searches on search engines. Moreover, these consumers act fast. 50% of consumers who conduct local searches on their mobile phones and 34% of consumers who conduct their search via tablet computer visit a store within a day of conducting a local search. Can't stress this enough for the new year to make sure that you're implementing a local search program. 300,000 people. That's the number of websites attacked in one day. That's the equivalent of a website being hacked every 39 seconds from sites with records and data. So that's also 75 records from one site per second, 540 data breaches every 15 seconds. Your information's out there and it's vulnerable. That's over 164.68 million records exposed by the end of just this week. And that brings us to arming your defenses. Secure credentials on your website. Secure credentials. Always use complex passwords. All passwords should be updated regularly. 80% of attacks are a direct result from password compromises. The main password linking to multiple accounts. Hack one, you hack a bunch. Keeping your plugins up to date. Always keep your CMS, content management system, up to date. Always keep your plugins up for your website up to date. Over 900,000 websites have been hacked within 1 week due to plugins alone. Plugins contain exploits if they're not regularly updated. That's huge for you guys for 2021. And lastly, firewall plus SSL certificate. Install firewall protection to stop malicious attacks and hackers, guys. Install SSL TLS certificates to encrypt information being sent through your website. In 2020 alone, 63 of the sites hacked were without SSL and firewall protections, hold millions upon millions of data on their customers, all of which are visible to hackers. And again, keep it safe. Create a security checklist. Create a checklist of the items missing on your site to create a secure website. Implement security. Deploy tactics. Make sure you run through your checklist every day. Protect your site. Again, SSL certificates will encrypt the information on your website. Firewall is essential to security. Please make sure all your plugins are up to date, guys. Update regularly. Always make sure your plugins and CRM platform are up to date. And again, maintenance. Regularly scheduled maintenance is key. Go to the back end of your site, verify all the features are up to date and functioning properly. And secure. You made it to the end. You implemented your security checklist. Your site is secure from hackers and attacks. And now I'm going to turn it over to video trends for 2021 with my colleague Rands.
Thanks, Pat. So now let's talk about the trends in online videos for 2021. So as Nick mentioned, video is really gaining traction since it's the most effective medium at building trust with your target audience and creating a relationship with them. So according to a survey by Global Web Index, there has been a 51% increase in video consumption since the pandemic. And the major streaming platforms such as Netflix, Hulu, User, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything that's a social media platform or a streaming platform has gained 28% more users. As consumers, we spend more time at home now, thanks to the pandemic, where video streaming activity has shifted more towards into our business hours. So now, overall, our business and personal hours tend to blend together, so people become more comfortable taking, quote unquote, a video break during the daytime just to break up the day. Using videos for your business is a powerful way to create an emotional connection with your potential customers. It allows you to provide information faster than any other medium, and when you're in the video, people get a feel for who you are, your expertise, and what it would be like to work with you. Always a great way to get your message across. There are numerous ways of using your videos in marketing. So for one, business owners often ask us whether they're better off recording or whether they're better off going live. They wonder how long their videos should be. And they also ask, where should they use your video? Generally, videos are an effective medium to use anytime you need to convey a message, but here are some trending ways to incorporate video into your strategy. So now we can start with things like live content. Live content is a huge trend that actually started prior to the pandemic, but has really taken off now. For business, this includes Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Almost every social media platform offers the ability to stream live videos in real time. Take advantage of this, because this opens up opportunities to advertise your products, your services, and or to form deeper connections with your customers, as I mentioned earlier. We can also use things like explainer videos, which are cartoon or line drawing animations. This is another key trend that we're expecting to continue to take off in 2021. Consumers are tired of traditional media and they want to be entertained. These videos are a great way to talk to your customer and walk them through a complex aspect of your business in order to create more informed buyers. Let's talk about short videos really quick. Short videos are best, especially when you're marketing to other businesses. According to marketing charts, B2B videos less than 1 minute in length had a completion rate of 68% compared to only 25% for videos more than 20 minutes long. Sometimes less is more. Videos used in Facebook ads tend to have a higher conversion rate than text. An analysis by DataBox showed that conversions are 20 to 30% higher when using videos over images. In other words, think about what tends to slow you down when you're paying attention and scrolling through your feed. The pandemic has made us even more of a video consuming society, so we expect the performance difference between images and videos to continue to grow. Now that you've decided where to use videos, let's talk about how to make a great one. The type of video you create will depend on how you intend to use it. If you need a video for your homepage, then it should be professionally shot with proper sound and lighting and well edited. But if you're recording something for social media, your audience doesn't expect a professional shoot. Truthfully, they just want to hear from you. In fact, if it's too polished, it will get less engagement because the video won't seem so genuine. The first step in making a great video is to plan your message. Plan is very key. It could be a 1 minute story or a 20-minute story, but plan the flow of what you'll say, same way you would a presentation. Don't sound like you're selling. Rather, put yourself in the shoes of your audience and share information they will find the value. Answering a frequently asked question is a way to begin. Be sure you rehearse what you plan to say. You may know your business really well, but when you're looking into the camera with a light pointed at you, you may not feel as natural as you thought, especially if you sound overly scripted. So remember, practice your message. When you're ready to record, be sure to have good lighting. Make sure to look into the light and avoid any shadows. Investing in a lighting ring is a good idea to keep the comfort on your eyes while maintaining natural light exposure. You should also consider an external microphone, since the sound from the one on your computer may not have high enough quality and it can severely impact the output of your video. If you're recording with multiple people and plan to edit afterwards, then it may be okay to use Zoom. But if it's just you, record directly to your computer using software like QuickTime instead. With Zoom, the quality of the video is impacted by your internet, so you may end up with a pixelated video. Not a good idea. If you're investing the effort in recording your video, you'll want to make sure people are going to see it. If you're uploading to social media, then you may want to consider boosting your post or doing some engagement around it. If you're uploading to YouTube, be sure to add a well-written description tagged with relevant keywords to bring more presence to your video. If you're handy at editing, a key trick would be to add your website URL as a lower third or outro on your video. Let's touch on intros really quick. If the video is going to be used as part of your online course or on your YouTube channel, then consider adding a graphic intro and some background music as well. Keep the background music light. You definitely don't want to overpower the speaker. For those platforms, you want the video to look good, so make sure to invest some time into your video graphics. Speaking of looking good, I'd like to introduce our art director and talented digital artist, Alex, who is going to cover our next topic, the 2021 design trends. Take it away, Alex.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to share some upcoming trends in web design and graphic design that will be standouts in 2021. These are design trends to keep up your sleeve, as a lot of companies plan to refresh and rebrand after this crazy year. So if you're one of them, I hope you find these tips useful. Even if you aren't, though, I hope you enjoy seeing the tactics businesses of all sizes will be implementing in the next year. So let's take a look at what we're going to keep our eyes on. I've decided to highlight and share 4 examples in each of the 2 categories that you'll see here. And we're going to begin with web design trends. Dark mode has made its appearance over the years, and whether we love it or we still hate it, it's here to stay. We've seen a lot of apps integrate these features, but in 2021, it's looking like desktop as well as mobile sites will begin utilizing this option as a design element, not just for accessibility, which is what the purpose it was initially created for, was to help our eyes. As it becomes a staple in our apps, we'll continue to see this feature grow on all aspects of mobile functionality, as well as desktop sites and general media overall. As great as it is for our eyes, it's becoming a great standout tool for complementary design and aesthetics function as well. Gradients have been on the rise since 2016 when popular social media apps made their change. So Instagram and Spotify were the leaders in this change, and we've all followed ever since. I promise you'll catch yourself quickly seeing how many companies actually use gradients and implement them in creative ways. So it's only going to be seen more next year as more companies rebrand. It will be interesting to see the unique ways and creative color variations that companies end up playing with. Here's a fun statistic. 82.7% of mobile Apple and Chrome users actually prefer and are using dark mode as their standard setting these days. I expect this number to continue to rise as more apps integrate and allow the options for users to choose. All right, back to some web design trends. So big, bold hero images have always been in trend, but next year it's looking like they're really going to be a key focal point on our sites. Steering away from the overwhelming aspect that was typically utilized in the past years, next year we'll see the use of big text atop muted and subdued design. We're all competing for attention, and this is one way to definitely do that. Contrasting text over top images, illustrations, and design will be a consistent feature carried over into 2021. Abstract shapes and organic imagery, 2 trends that I personally love, will be holding strong in 2021. The use of gradients alongside these shapes and their movement are a really strong combination when used together like this example. Of course, with all of these things in mind, not every rebrand can include everything that we touched on in a tasteful way, but it's great to see a strong variety of options make their way to the forefront. Now that we've talked about web, let's take a look at some 2021 graphic design trends on the horizon. Yes, it is true. Muted colors are in our horizon in 2021. After the year of big and bold and bright, the direction for next year will be following soft, comfortable tones that make us feel welcomed. It will be extremely interesting to keep our eyes on what big players begin to tone down and simplify. The muted colors also pair well with the overwhelming support and usage of dark mode that we talked about as well. So as we tone down into the next year, we should feel comforted by some of our favorite brands. Flat icons have made their way through the 2010s, are at this point a staple. Google just went even flatter recently with their sweet icons to kick us off. Flat illustrations and hand-drawn text alongside the flat icons will continue to rise in the next year. The sense of novelty and handcrafted aesthetic alongside sharp controlled objects will be something to keep your eyes on as small businesses get back on their feet into the next year. Serif fonts. So serif fonts like Times New Roman or Georgia, for example. I'm happy about this one. The community always goes back and forth with serifs and sans serifs every so years. They're classic and tasteful, and at this point, with the right brand identity, are super contemporary and clean, just like the sans serifs, for example, like the font Helvetica. I'm excited to see their use on social media posts and long-form videos especially. Speaking of which, text-heavy videos are on the radar. So we've seen the use of subtitles for accessibility on the rise as videos have become stronger and stronger for social, but it's looking like we're leaning towards heavy text just right over top the audio this next year. So that wraps it up. I hope you found these design tips useful in some way as you consider refreshing or rebranding into the new year. So now back to Deanne for some key takeaways from our webinar.
Thanks, Alex. I'm always fascinated by design trends. It's the online has the same sort of fashion evolution that clothing does. And being in the business, we can always tell when you go to somebody's web presence or their social media presence, whether they're in fashion or out of fashion. So it's always exciting to see what's changing. We've covered a lot of information today in this webinar. And if there's 3 key things that I'd like you to take away, it's this. The first is that your customers and prospects have higher expectations of your digital presence. It really reflects who you are as a business, your professionalism, and your overall image. So it's really, really important to make sure that what you're doing online keeps up with who you are as a business and your brand. And second, social media is more important than ever. We've heard from the various members of the team regarding how much more time people are spending on social, how they're interacting on social. And really, it's more important than ever that you not only have a presence, but to get found, you do need to pay to play. So you do need to be running ads, you need to use video, you need to go live, you need to be engaging with your audience. These are all really, really important trends. And then thirdly, since being found online is so important to your competitiveness, it's really worth investing in SEO, not only for your website, but your Google My Business page in order to be found on local search. So I know a number of you have been waiting patiently. We've got a number of questions that have come in. If you do have questions, please go ahead and add them to the chat. We'll get to as many as we can, but let me just go through some of the ones that have come in here so far. So the first question is for Nick. How long should Facebook videos be for ads?
Well, there's two ways that you can do this. As Rand had pointed out, that your likelihood of someone watching your entire video goes up astronomically if your video is around the 30 seconds to 1 minute mark, but mostly the 30-second mark. That being said, it depends on what your purpose for the video is. I like to run videos that are actually much longer than that, at 2 to 3 minutes, sometimes even 4 minutes or longer than that, with the knowledge that not everyone's going to watch it, but that's kind of the point. Okay, so we're talking about a cold audience here. The cold audience who is not that involved with what you do, yes, they're more likely to watch a 30-second video of yours, but the person who watches a video that's 2 to 3 minutes long or 4 minutes long, who's not been exposed to you before, there's a high probability of that person being really interested in what you're offering and being willing to take the next step from there. So if you approach it with that in mind, I like to run ones that are 3 to 4 minutes long, in addition to ones that are 30 seconds long, with the strategy that I'm going to retarget people based on the watch time with a special offer then. So you could run either long form or short form. It's just that if you're going to long form, you should have that strategy in mind that you're not going to have a lot of people watching most of it, but you can retarget the people who watch 50%, at least 50% of it, at least 75% of it, and all of it. Because again, they're going to be the people who have the highest probability of being interested in what you do or what you sell.
Makes sense. Thanks, Nick. We have another question that's come in here that I will ask Patrick. My hosting provider keeps trying to get me to sign up for their firewall and anti-malware services. Do I really need this?
We get this question a lot at ZenChange, and the answer to your question is yes, absolutely yes. Hacking will always be an issue, and if you don't take your website security seriously, it can cost you. Basically, like around 1% of all live websites are infected with malware each week. I mean, let that sink in for a second. This amounts to over 18.5 million websites, with an average website being attacked 44 times a day. And so as such, protecting your website from malware is a must. Like, yes, there shouldn't even be a question. Consider that nearly 17% of all infected websites wind up being blacklisted by search engines. If you don't want this to happen, you just make sure you have a good security in place for your website.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And what we've been seeing as well is I think typically a lot of small business owners think that hacking and malware attacks are only going to happen to the big sites, but we've seen a lot of malicious attacks on even little sites. So it's something that regardless of the size of your business, that it's really, really important to make sure that you're protecting your web property.
Absolutely.
Let's see, we're getting another question here. This one for Alex. Why should we be shifting to dark mode and muted colors?
So as we keep updating our phones and our apps continue to update to offering dark mode for our eyes, that was the main purpose it was created for, as we're glued to our phones and our screens. Taking the load off of our eyes by muting down and toning down the colors we're looking at significantly helps. So if we're able to update our websites, or consider updating our websites at least with dark mode, it just allows for our users to feel more comfortable hopping onto, a darker muted site from, a darkened app like Gmail or Instagram. It just makes it easier on our eyes and makes the clients feel more comfortable. As far as muted colors go, as our industries continue to shift and change every year, almost half a year at this point, design is constantly changing. To stay in trend and to make your clients, and potential buyers feel comfortable going to your site compared to a competitor's, it just makes sense to follow the trends and stay current in your industry.
Absolutely. I love the muted colors. I'm really excited about this year.
Me too.
I know it's your favorite. This question has come in for Rand. Which is better for my business, professional videos or live videos?
It ultimately depends on your business. So live videos would function very well for somebody who, let's say, is a general contractor who wants to display that they're working on a specific project right now, and they want to reach out to their target audience and showcase some of the work that they're doing from start to finish. And you can always have that backlog of live videos to show how the video, or how the project started at phase one all the way down to the end point. And even from all those videos, you can actually compile them and make them into a thorough output video towards the end. Professional shoots would be more geared towards, let's say, if you're in the food industry or maybe in the fashion industry and you want to take nice high resolution videos of your product, and you have just something that's more along the lines of a commercial, not something that has like a start point and an end point. So it ultimately depends on your industry and what you do and how you want to convey your message.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another question has come in for Nick. What do I do if Facebook says my target audience is too small to run ads?
First thing is try to run it anyway. Most of the things when Facebook gives you that warning, it's more of a suggestion than a hard rule. You'll notice that you're still able to publish an ad. So first thing I would do is try it anyway. You may be surprised and you may see that it's actually delivering. If so, problem solved. If not, then you're going to be forced to add on different relevant interests to it, open that audience up a little bit. Facebook really likes the audience to be between 50,000 and 100,000 people. But obviously sometimes that's way over what you're looking for. So if you're forced to open it up to what you know is wider than what you need, what I would do from there is make sure your ad copy really calls out the specific person that you are trying to target. So you just kind of have to accept the good with the bad that you will get in front of people who aren't as, or maybe not at all be what you're trying to get in front of, but you will also be getting in front of the hyper targeted people. So just make sure that it's very clear in your ad copy that you're calling out the person who you want to watch or look at your ad.
Oh, thank you. Another question has come in for Alex. How will the design trends that we're seeing for 2021 impact print alongside digital?
This is a very good question because it's actually the opposite from everything that I recently talked about. So digitally, we're going to be toning down and muting things down, but print is actually going to be the opposite. We're going to need to ramp up and amp up our colors, text, font sizes, everything like that to really be a standout in people's mailboxes and flyers and things like that to really get people's attention in a different way.
Makes sense. Another question here, I'm going to ask Mallory, what are things that I can do right now to make sure my marketing materials are relevant without having to change everything?
I would say one of the most important things you can do right now is just consider how your clients or your customers' lives have changed and how you're receiving those materials. So if part of your business is you have a podcast and your intro is something about listening to this on your way to work. People aren't listening to it on their way to work anymore. So, changing the language, or if, you're a restaurant and you have a lot of pictures of your really gorgeous dining room on your website, you might want to take some pictures of how you're really nicely packaging your food to go, or, take a picture of some of your, wait staff out on the curb delivering your orders. Just make your business more relevant to what is going on in their lives right now. Those are easy things you can do. You can use stock photos. You can find plenty of resources to make that happen without having to do major changes.
Makes sense. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you got a lot of information out of this webinar. And if you have further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You'll find us online at zenchange.com. We have a wealth of information on our website as well. So be sure to check out our blogs and our social media channels, and look forward to seeing you next year. And here's to a much better 2021 for all of the small businesses out there. We need it. So good luck, everyone. Have a great holiday and look forward to seeing you in the new year.